scores.
I come in clutch, take over season.
What's up, everybody? We're back with another edition here of Floor 20 as I just quickly adjust my mic here to get this perfect. There we go. We've got a very special guest today, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. Aaron Myette. Mate, how are you doing?
Doing well, and looking forward to be on Floor 20.
Yeah. See, it's a confusing one, you know. We called it Floor 20 because we lived on the 20th floor of our building, but it sounds like 420.
Yeah.
That's what it's got that cool factor in
It's got
there.
that flow.
Yeah, it's got that flow. Okay, mate. So for everyone watching, this man here is a former Major League Baseball player. 6 years in the league?
Parts of 6 years in the major leagues, played 10 years professionally.
10 years professionally. Unreal. So was it 6 years MLB, and then or how many years in the MLB?
Yeah,
How many?
so how it works, the Major League Baseball has a farm system. So I got drafted in 97, dating myself a little bit.
There you go.
But went to rookie ball in Bristol, Virginia, went to A ball in Hickory, North Carolina, high A ball in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, double A in Birmingham, Alabama, triple A Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I got called up to Chicago for the White Sox.
Oh, here we go.
For those, brief timeline between 1999, gee whiz, and 2005. So those were the years that, would play in AAA or get called up to the big leagues. I got traded to the Texas Rangers in 2001. So I played in AAA Oklahoma City with them, and then part-time in the major leagues with Texas Rangers as well, and then with the Cincinnati Reds and with the Cleveland Indians as well. So that's kind of why it's like 6 years, parts of 6 years, because there's so much movement in baseball. Unless you sign a big contract like Shohei Ohtani's going to sign this off.
So he's unreal, isn't he?
Oh yeah, unreal. But like those are the guys that stick. But then there's all the guys like us, the grinders that we're fighting, right?
What a journey, man! Like I've got so many just questions going off that. So I want to start right at the beginning.
Yeah.
What was your initial driver behind becoming a baseball player, or even just your first interest in baseball, man? Like how did that start?
My dad played professionally.
Oh, there we go.
So it was. I remember as young as I can go back and remember, was looking at newspaper clippings and his old caps and just his stuff. That I'm like, man, I want to do this. If my dad did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And at 9 years old, you don't know what you're going to do the rest of your life, but I did. I'm like, I'm going to play pro baseball. I'm going to play in the big leagues.
Damn, you knew that from a young age. That is so cool.
My dad did it, then I should be able to do it.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's incredible. So you had that thirst, that hunger from when you were such a young age. And then I guess the first major step into you thinking, okay, this could be a reality, is that college? Is that when you actually think, okay, now the dream is starting to get closer and closer?
Before that, because with the Major League Baseball draft, they can draft players out of high school, and
really,
or if you're at a junior college, you can get drafted each year of your collegiate year. If you're at a 4-year school like Division I, you can't get drafted until your third year is over. So when I was in 12th grade,
yeah,
I was playing on junior national team in Canada, and
boom.
I was kind of on the radar at the time, but that just like put me on the radar, and I got drafted by the Seattle Mariners that year.
So you were a high school student, got drafted into the MLB?
Yeah, but I didn't sign. I decided to go to school. So I went to school for 2 years and then got drafted again because I went University of Washington 1 year, transferred to Central Arizona College so that I would be draft eligible for that the end of that season. And it worked out because I was a 17th rounder out of high school.
Okay.
And then I was a first rounder out of college.
First rounder?
So
come on.
And at 17, like, you're young.
Yeah.
Like,
you're thinking like this whole thing is a whirlwind. It must have been just a crazy experience to even hear your name called, right?
Yeah.
So I could only imagine. It's so for us in New Zealand, we don't have that draft process. So even to go into, say, example, to play for the All Blacks in rugby or the Black Caps in cricket, you just work your way up through the ranks. There is no that moment when your name is called and you walk across the stage or the world sees the draft.
Yeah.
So I don't know, for me personally, growing up in New Zealand, that draft process was always something that I just like frothed and always watched. NFL draft, NBA draft, because the hype around it is just so amazing. That's the moment when the dream becomes a reality.
Oh,
So,
100%.
yeah.
Like when, and the MLB, NBA, NFL, like all those drafts work a little differently on how they can take players. But now MLB draft is only 20 rounds.
Right.
They made some shifts through the pandemic, and it's down to 20 rounds, where it could have been like 50, 60 rounds when I got drafted.
Really?
Oh man,
That's crazy.
because and they condensed the farm system, so there's fewer farm teams, minor league teams, but like teams would have 7 minor league teams, and you got to fill all those rosters. But yeah, it's come a long way, and there's a lot of improvements in baseball that I really like. There's a few things that, obviously are for the fans, and as a pitcher, I don't like them trying to edge towards more offense in the game, right?
Okay, so this is an interesting topic. I didn't have this down, but this is an interesting topic. So remind us as to how they are making it easy. If I'm saying it right, they're making it easier for batters, right? Because they're taking away what you can do.
Yeah.
To give yourself as a pitcher, because Aaron was an incredible fast pitcher.
So there's been shifts in baseball over the years, and when I was playing, it was the steroid era,
Right.
and a very high percentage of major league players were taking steroids.
Braun was a big one, no? Or
Well, he was a I would say a little more recent one.
More
Like
recent?
Bonds at the time. Just throwing names out there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all good.
He's one that was in the public for
He knew, yeah.
taking steroids. But it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
obviously strength and speed and power, but confidence. A lot of guys said the edge they love was the mental edge, because you go out there, you're the baddest kid on the block. That affects your confidence positively.
Shoot.
So you had McGuire, Sosa, Bonds breaking all these home run records.
You're like, what's going on here?
And you look at them when they're drafted, and they're, he's 6'2", 185, and then all of a sudden he's 6'2", 250.
That ain't normal, baby.
It's not normal, and it happened in one off season. But it brought a massive rush of fans to baseball.
Yeah.
And then of course the steroid scandal, and someone blew the whistle on all that, and Major League Baseball is forced to crack down because publicly they're under public scrutiny, and so they start cracking down. And at the same time, the development in pitching, with teaching, with training, pitchers started throwing harder. So there's more guys in the major leagues right now that throw 100 miles an hour than ever. So now you've got they're getting steroids out of the game, and that huge edge that hitters have is gone, but all the pitchers are just starting to throw harder and nastier and nastier.
Yeah.
And the average fastball in Major League Baseball is up. So then it's become a pitcher's game. So Major League Baseball is like, well, no one wants to see a 1-0 game.
Got it.
Right? Fans don't. Pitchers do. We love that.
Got it.
Like, to me, it's a chess match. It's just a beautiful game. But fans want to see home runs.
You know about the sweet science of baseball,
Yeah.
but if you're a regular fan, you want to see massive home runs.
You want to see home runs.
Yeah.
Like, you go to a game, you want to see home runs.
Right.
The fans love it. So they've, they're making shifts to try and get hitters an edge back. And like, they've made the bases bigger, and people think, oh wow, what difference does that make? Because Major League Baseball says, oh, it's for safety. Well, it's not for safety.
Like, that's a cover up.
It shortens the base path, so there's more stealing. You've limited how many times a pitcher can pick off now. You've put in time, like a certain amount of time the pitcher has to be throwing a ball by. So it takes a lot of the strategy out, where the mind games with a hitter, the mind games with a base runner.
Man, honestly, all the stuff you're talking about, I can relate it back to cricket terms.
Yeah.
Because if you're a regular listener, you know that I used to play cricket back in the day, and so this whole sweet science that we're talking about, this whole batter versus, we call it bowler for pitcher. Yeah. That battle, you want it to be as even as possible, because at the end of the day, it's just two athletes going up against each other in their craft.
Yeah.
So to give someone a very, very clear advantage takes away from the game itself. maybe the presentation to your casual fan is, I don't know, it's better for them in terms of revenue or money or that, because that's what they're thinking about, right?
It's big business.
Big business, massive, Major League Baseball. But for me personally, as a I'll say former athlete as well, nothing to your level, but in the athlete world, you just want it to be even. You just want it to be even, man. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
As a competitor, yeah.
Competitor.
Like
Yeah, you're
your
competitor.
best, you're best against their best.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand changes to games to for fans. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And sometimes, you know, one offense or defense, whomever, they take the hit on that. But the bottom line is they want to put fans in seats. They want a global game.
Yeah.
And you know what? Major League Baseball does a really good job at building the game.
Gotcha.
And they have to, right? Like, it's, and you talk about cricket, and
Yeah.
it's something that I've seen,
Yeah.
but I don't know much about it.
Right.
But with the technology and marrying my wife from New Zealand.
Oh yeah, there we go. So let's just enter that little conversation. So how I know Aaron, he's married to my cousin. So that's the connection there, and we just thought, oh, this is going to be a great opportunity. Get the great man on the podcast and see how we go. But yeah, Nisha's hovering around somewhere. She's inside somewhere.
She's with our little guy.
Little Chet.
Our little Kiwi.
Little Kiwi, Canadian, American. Yeah. Like he's a mix of everything.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, little Chet is yoked, stacked up, so he's gonna be a baseball player, I think, as well.
Or an All Black.
Yeah, or an All Black. See, that would be dope.
Yeah.
We'll get Chet in the All Blacks. Number 6, blindside flanker. Okay, mate, cool. So another thing that's also really exciting for a guy from New Zealand to talk to you about is just the college experience, being a college athlete. Because once again, back home, it's not like that. You just play for your region, then you play for your kind of, I don't know, maybe your overall space, and then your country. It's just a natural progression through different tiers of talent, I would say, to put it that way. There is no college then pro.
Yeah.
You can just turn pro if you have a good season as an amateur.
Yeah.
So, man, going into college, like, is it like the movies? Because we see movies and it's just, it's like, okay, you play the game and then it's just a party, and then you play the game and you're a superstar on your campus. So you went to University of Washington.
Yeah.
You're a Husky, close to here. It's a great university. I've been there myself, and I've seen the sports fields, the campus. My good friend Prashit, who used to co-host a podcast with me, University of Washington. So I've seen the campus, beautiful. Man, what was that college experience like, if you can give us a little peek behind the curtain?
So, yeah, to answer your comment/question, is it like the movies? Well, in a lot of ways, yes. But more specifically for football players and basketball players.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Baseball, like in the Pacific Northwest, University of Washington, like, baseball was another sport. Like, they loved football. But my brother, who went to University of Kentucky in the SEC.
Oh, he went to Kentucky.
That's a different story.
For baseball?
Baseball. Oh, 100%. Like,
oh, that's cool.
It's, it's different parts of the country, right? In the South, and obviously the SEC, you've got Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, like massive football schools, big basketball schools, and, but they're, the stars in the football team, the star quarterback or the star point guard in the basketball team,
just
it's a Hollywood life.
Like, it actually is that, right?
Oh,
like,
it's next level, right? And you know what? Like, what those young athletes go through, and how I'm gonna say the majority of them handle it so well.
Yeah,
like, they're famous. Like, they are famous, and then you get a guy, turn back the clock, to Carmelo Anthony, let's say at Syracuse. Right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody in the world knew who he was, and he was a college athlete. He was an amateur athlete in college.
Yeah.
Right? So, but, they keep a level head on their shoulders. They probably have good guidance. And
you're going to have to.
Then there's the odd story that comes out about some guy that just is a jackass.
Takes the wrong direction. To put it lightly, takes the wrong direction.
But they're in those southern states, especially, I'm going to say, like, those fans are diehard, and if you're the star, they love you.
Wow,
it's crazy.
That's cool to hear, because so obviously we go to university, but it's not for sport. It's purely just to go get your degree, and then you play for your club team, for
Yeah.
example, rugby or cricket. So the big shot on campus is not really the same. And we just see the movies.
Yeah.
We see the North American lifestyle.
Yeah.
And like, have you been to New Zealand? New
I
Zealand?
haven't. I really want to go.
You really want to go. So we actually are quite heavily influenced by North America.
Yeah.
North American sport, North American culture, movies, TV shows, etc. So we see everything. So for you to say that for some individuals it is actually like that at college, that's it's just crazy. I wish I could see it with my own eyes. And I know people in New Zealand, all my friends back home, man, that would be such a cool experience. And my brother Sean went to Arizona State University for a semester, and he got a little glimpse of it. And even him just having 4 months at a big school, the Sun Devils, he's seen it. He saw what it was all about. So yeah, no, I'm okay. So I've got it now. I'm gonna back pocket that and know that is true.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I've done a lot of cool things and met around a lot of high profile athletes. But when I've gone to college football games, been on around campuses, and even I'm a fan. Like I love college football.
Oh, how good is that?
College basketball. And
are the crowds bigger at college than they are for the pros? Like, there's more intensity.
Yeah. Some places, yeah. Like, you got a Michigan Ohio State game, and you got who knows 70,000, 80,000 people at those games. It's nuts.
Yeah,
right?
see, and everyone's jumping, and I just feel like because everyone maybe might be a bit younger, it's that like reckless kind of support for a team, almost like the soccer in England, where they're just absolute hooligans.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're out tailgating 6 hours before the game.
Okay, so here's one for you. So I went to University of Washington Husky game, football, and this was 2018. I didn't know about the tailgates.
Yeah.
We walked into the stadium, me and a couple of my mates, and everyone was outside barbecuing, playing drinking games, getting hammered. Like they had a young alumni section, a current student section, and it was just absolutely jam-packed. And I'm just going to be honest, that was more fun than the game for me. Like,
oh yeah.
Is that is that for everyone? Like, everyone
and I tell you what, the University of Washington, no knock on them, they're tailgating.
No.
It sucks.
Really? Oh,
I'm telling you, like, go down to Ohio State football game. Like, go south, put it on your bucket list.
Okay,
like,
that's on.
One of those big rivalries, Texas, Oklahoma, or, something like that, and tailgate there.
Come on now.
Oh,
10 times, is it? University
10
of
times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that one. So now I got to go out there.
Oh, yeah.
I go out there for a reason, and that's going to be the reason.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Sweet. So we've got a little peeking behind the curtain there for college. So now let's jump back to what we were talking about, MLB, but for yourself in particular. So quick question on just the baseball itself. Like, how did you mentally prepare to go out there and pitch in front of thousands of people, to pitch to the best batters in the world? Like, what was your preparation like? Did you have like a certain act that you had to do? You know how people have these. So for when I was playing cricket, before I left the house every day, I'd like unpack my bag and then pack my bag again. All the cricket pads, helmet, gloves. And I had to have it in the right place in my bag. Yeah. It was just something I had to do. Did you have any superstitions like that?
You know what? Kind of touch on two things with the mental side and the superstitions, because I think every athlete has superstitions. And mine changed all the time, because baseball, in the big leagues, you play 163 games. So if you have one bad game, that changes your superstition. Like, I've been wearing the same undershirt the whole time, and I'm pitching well. Then you have a bad game. You're like, well, that shirt's done.
That's crazy, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. So
it would be like different cleats and where I would set them in my locker, and the glove I would use, and the undershirt, the underwear I would wear. Yeah. Like, it was... Okay, these might be too tight today. Is this going to affect my mobility? Should I everything plays, and then you look back on it now, it's like,
no,
it didn't make a difference.
It didn't.
But
you want every advantage you can, though, right?
Oh, I know. I'm like, I'm gonna wear my white jersey because maybe it'll hide the baseball better, and the sun will reflect off it more. Like, you're thinking of all the stupid
Just
things,
getting right in there,
And but it's interesting you touch on the mental side, because when we. Earlier in the conversation, you talked, 6 years with 6 years in the big leagues. I said, no, I bounced up and down. And when I was in the minor leagues, like, I was lights out. and I would face guys that turned into superstars in the big leagues, and it was like, I'm the best. I knew I could compete. I knew I could take them down, right? And then I would go to the big leagues, and all of a sudden that mental edge, and it was a mental edge I had.
Something went off, was it?
Something switched.
See, that's crazy, isn't it? The mental side.
Oh, and it played. It was so challenging because I didn't know what was going on, and I would speak with sports psychologists, and you know, they could kind of identify what was going on, but I'm like, yeah, I know that's going on, but how do I get through this? Like, I need help. And so I was fighting a battle. I didn't know what I was fighting, right? So I would go in, and my thought would be like, man, I hope I pitch good today. I hope I don't have a bad game and get sent down.
So it's I hope instead of like, I'm going to do
100%,
this.
100%. And just going in with that. And I'm not saying arrogance, but a slight cockiness that I think every good athlete has to have.
Absolutely.
You know, you're not arrogant, you're not a prick, you're not a showboat, but you've got to have that swagger, right? And I lost that swagger, and I was pitching to not fail, as opposed to I was pitching because I knew I was going to dominate.
Man.
And that was 6 years of going through that and not knowing what was going on and how to fix it.
And you know, here's the thing, man. Whenever it comes to that sort of stuff, like we call it sometimes the yips in cricket. I'm not sure if you call it the yips.
Yips is a term in baseball.
Oh, okay, there we go. You've done all the work as a kid, as a young adult, all the physical stuff. You know exactly the ins and outs of the game, how to pitch this ball, how to pitch that ball. It's just it's all upstairs. Like, you've done all the hard work, man. Yeah. I've been in those shoes. And when you mention the whole like pitching not to fail instead of like just to dominate, in cricket, I could sometimes get into a state of like, okay, when I'm batting, I'm gonna bat like defensively and like block it, like not hit it big, just to knock it out, just to stop the ball. But really, you got to be smashing it and putting it to the boundary and scoring runs. That's how you win games. Score baseball and cricket, you like score runs to win games.
100%.
But sometimes you might be a little bit, I don't want to use the word scared, but
tentative.
Like just tentative. That's the word. And just fiddling around rather than just being dominant. Bang. You get in the nets, you're just smashing it everywhere, and then you get in the game, you're just fiddling it. Like, man, that's crazy. So did you ever get to a point where you did fully be in that state again when you were in the big leagues?
You know what? I'll kind of go two ways with this. One, when I was in Texas, and I'm going to sort of throw someone under the bus here, but I was starting. I could feel it coming. I had like 3 quality starts in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm
I'm rolling.
And then I pitched in Oakland, and I had a bad game. And I got pulled out of the game, and I walked into the dugout, and my man, I kind of grabbed water and saw the inning over, and then went inside to change. And as I was walking down the tunnel to go to the clubhouse, the manager, of the team, he looks at me and he gives just a slight head shake and says, "Just when I was starting to have confidence in you." Like,
man, I remember you telling me this.
I'm a rookie, and I'm finally like, and that right there, it reset everything. Like, cause I was, right now I could handle that now. I'm older, I'm more mature. I've gone through a lot of life stuff, and I could brush that off, and I'd probably tell him to shove it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the time when you're, 21 years old,
and like you're in the pros, like they're paying you, so you think, okay, this guy, like I have to conform to this guy because he's the guy.
He was the manager.
Yeah,
like he's got the say. And I remember just like it crushed me.
Man,
and
that
I
sucks.
look back now because I work with a lot of baseball players. I work with a lot of athletes, and that's a huge part of my teaching and development with them is the mental side and building them up, empowering them.
And we can give a quick plug here. So this is the shirt that you're wearing today. That's what you're talking about right now. So Sports University.
It's part of it. It's an expansion of the work I'm doing with athletes. So my Sports University, my course, baseball course. I'll tell you what. I'm going to give my plug here, sportsuniversity.com, but anyone who listens to this and wants it, like, holler at me, I'll give you a free course. It's not about money. I just want to help people, right?
Holler at Aaron, and we'll also put a link in the description below. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And there's tons of resources on there, and the whole objective is to prepare people to reach their dreams and goals, right? Like, awesome. It's and that's what I love doing. And I look back to that situation when I walked out of the game, and I think, if he would have said, Aaron, I still believe in you.
We back you, man. Like, you got this.
Like, I honestly think that my career could have shifted drastically at that point.
Really?
If he had said, I believe in you, you're going to go out there in 5 days again, and we're going to get him.
Two directions. Like, it really could have gone the other way. 180.
100%. And it wasn't because I was mentally weak. I was mentally undeveloped at the time. And coaches, mentors, like, hear these words. Like, every athlete is going to fail. And we want them to fail. The first message I give, because I coach with the national team now, the first message I give is, I want you to fail. I need you to fail, because then we're going to start breaking barriers, right? And you give them permission to fail, guess what happens? They fail less. They're free to perform, right? And that was the one thing I needed, so I make sure that's the main thing I give every athlete now is like, hey, we're going full tilt, we're going balls to the walls, and you fail when you fail, because it's going to happen. Doesn't matter.
It's impossible to be perfect. And Michael Jordan said he's the greatest player of all time because he missed over 9,000 shots in his career.
He gets it.
And you have to go through that. Wow, that's incredible, man. So, oh man, I just it's just so funny to even like cast my mind back right now to when I was playing cricket in England or playing cricket in New Zealand. And you have those dreams and aspirations that you're talking about, and then you get in your own way. You're the one that stops yourself from moving forward, and that's where I think like it's cool that people are focusing on the mental part of sport now. And it's not being weak. It's not being mentally weak just because we're focusing on it more. I think it's actually a show of power and strength, because that's like we're talking about now. That's the final hurdle to becoming great. You know, we can get there, but to be great is surely is the mental side of it.
Oh yeah, and you look at a Kobe Bryant, a Derek Jeter, you know, athletes that just excelled under pressure. Man, it just like they're so strong mentally, and I think some people are just kind of gifted with that too, right? Like anything else, others have to really develop it. I think that mentorship. Coaching and mentorship along the way really helps develop that too, right? Because if you've come up with coaches that beat you down, well, you're probably not even getting to that level anyways, right? But if that's not the way, you know, like just little things that as leaders and mentors and coaches that you have absolute control over. Yep. Right? And it's, you look back, right? Like look back at words that affected you positively or negatively. Right, and I guarantee you every athlete can look back to even before they were teenagers and at specific situations. And it's so bizarre. I remember when I was in like 8th grade playing basketball, and I made a nice pass. It was like a pass on the run, one-handed, just skipped off the floor, you know, an assist. And my dad commented after the game. He said, that was a great one-handed running pass. And I remember that to this day.
Really? That stuck with you? Wow.
35 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
And I'm like, and it made me feel good.
Right.
So just little words. It's amazing how little words can affect the mental side and just the development and empowering young athletes.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. And we'll definitely touch on coaching we'll get into it as we keep moving through here. But a couple more on the MLB here, man. Do you have any like just crazy inside the locker room stories? Like, I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but like, man, like,
which can I share?
You don't want to throw us under the bus, but like, yeah, man, we've talked about, you know, college being crazy. We've talked about, you know, being in the big leagues. There's got to be some sort of co-curricular activity that goes on behind the scenes, man. Like, do players have drinks in their hand like after the game? like what's going on in the locker room, bro?
All right, maybe I'll leave out names sometimes, but I can add some names when it's applicable, but like the life is bananas.
There we go. That's what we're talking about.
Like it is like baseball players can make a ton of money. You know, there's guys making $50 million a year, and I'm sure that like, you know, high-end cricket or rugby, like soccer / football, like that's bananas money. Like it's like, what can you do with it? But it was like when as a rookie, and I remember as a rookie, league minimum was $200,000, right? Okay. And the highest paid player on the team was making $25 million, right? And they'll take
Big
care
disparity.
of you, right? But
Yeah.
you're still expected to live that life. Like so,
like splash out.
oh man. So if you were caught eating at McDonald's, like you'd get in trouble.
Really?
So that not trouble.
But like, what are you doing, bro? Kind
like,
of thing.
Yeah, so you got to eat at highest steakhouse and all these fancy places, and then you got to tip well, because if you don't tip well, then you're cheap, right? You're a big league player. You got to tip well. Then you
Tip well is
everybody.
being like 25%.
Oh, way more.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're probably doubling your bill. And if you're a big money guy, you're but you're paying for everything, right? And you're not allowed to carry your own bags. So you're in your hotel room. You got to call the bellhop at the front, because the level of hotels we're staying at has bellhop, and they come pick up your bags. You tip him, and you go down to the front, and you can't get your own cab. You have to get the bell to get your cab.
What?
And then you tip him.
Okay, so this is
because
news to
he
me.
calls a cab for you, and then you tip your cab driver because he opens the door for you. And it's like every little thing. But it was like the amount of money. So when I was in Texas, our lineup was superstars, and they're all making big money, right? And it's like we're in spring training, and here's a Bentley, and here's a Ferrari, and
what?
and here's a couple people washing the cars for them while they're in spring training, and they come
Just
out
paying them
and-
to wash the cars, is it?
Oh yeah, it's just man, and it became like a competition, right?
Really? Almost like just a big dick energy kind of thing, like.
Oh yeah, but they had the money to do it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Guys buying $7 million private planes, and there's back 25 years ago, and these planes are probably worth triple that now. Like, and with their own full-time drivers, and they've got yachts, and they've got cigarette boats, and they've got like it's just bizarre.
Okay, that's
So when I was in Texas,
Okay.
and Alex Rodriguez was the guy. He signed a
A-Rod, man.
Yeah, $250 million contract with Texas Rangers, biggest contract in baseball history at the time, and that's been crushed now.
Yeah.
And Ohtani's going to crush that next year, I
Again.
predict.
Wow.
But he was hated by a lot of people because he left Seattle and went to Texas for all this money. But
Okay.
yet, who wouldn't?
That's part of business, right?
Like,
It's business.
Why wouldn't you secure your life, your family, and generations after you? Everybody would do the same thing.
Yeah, totally, man.
Right? But people hated him for it, and he was the best player in the game at the time too. But he, okay, I can talk about this because it goes way back in time, and the rules of baseball have changed. But baseball is self-policed,
Okay.
right? Like, and there's things I love about the way the game was, because if a hitter hit a home run and he showboated, unless you're Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa, you're an established superstar, you don't showboat. Like, you drop the bat, you run. So let's say a rookie came in.
An unwritten rule or like
Unwritten rule.
right?
Like,
You're an asshole if you do that, pretty much.
you just don't do it. You haven't earned your stripes yet.
Got it.
So a rookie comes in, he hits a home run off a veteran, and he flips his bat. Well, you're going to get plunked,
I see.
right? Or let's say A-Rod, the big guy on the team, if he got hit, well, we should even the score and plunk one of their guys, right? And these
Okay.
were unwritten rules, and I'm okay. At the time you didn't talk about it, but
Yeah.
I'm okay talking about it now
Oh, this
because
is cool,
baseball
man.
has changed so much.
Yeah.
And you can't do that anymore. Major League Baseball stepped in, and now if you hit a guy, it's like you're instantly warned. And if you buzz a guy's tower, give him some chin music, as it's called in baseball,
I like that.
like you can get tossed out of a game
So not even hitting him, just angling it in the.
if
like,
they
at the
think it was
face.
intentional.
You're gone.
Then they'll a good ump will warn you, but if it happens again, accident or not, they'll toss you. But we would self-police in that sense, right?
Right,
And it wasn't.
got it.
You're not trying to hurt anybody. You hit him in the thigh. You hit him in the butt. Like, just
It's a buzz off type thing, man.
it's
Like
the game. You self-police. You keep the order. So I was in Oklahoma City, and I got called up, and the team to Texas, and the team was in Toronto playing against the Blue Jays at the time.
here we go.
Yeah.
We're getting something here, guys.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
getting something. This is sick.
And so I get there, and we go in, and we have a meeting with the manager, the pitching coach, the bullpen coach, all the pitchers and catchers. and the manager is laying into the pitching staff, saying we're not protecting our hitters.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Well,
what's wrong with you guys?
yeah.
Like, we need to protect our hitters.
Yeah.
So I started, and I was within a couple days, and top of the first inning, A-Rod gets hit.
Oh, here we go. This is juicy. This
So
is
I'm
juicy.
like, okay.
You know what you got to do.
So first pitch of the game, I hit a batter, and
First pitch.
First pitch of the game. I'm like, I have to do it. I'm just getting it over with, right? And I hit him. It's a clean hit. Like, he kind of barks at me. I bark, but no one's mad. It's like, this is part of the game.
Got it.
He knew it was coming, and it was a clean beanball, right? And we move on.
Yeah.
Right? And it seemed to happen almost every other start, where he would get hit and count like.
And
a
you were
number of
you the
times,
guy?
I was always pitching at the time, so I had to drill somebody, and I started getting fined for it.
Did you?
Because I was doing it so much, and I'm like, I have to do it. Like, but I'm fair about it.
Did they cover your fine?
So, here's the thing. I started getting fined, and it was like $1,500, $1,700, and all of a sudden I stopped seeing my fines, but I knew I was getting fined.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, what's happening? And A-Rod comes up to me. He's like, don't worry, I got it. He paid my fines for me. Right?
See, that is awesome.
And it was, and he just appreciated that I was protecting him, right? Because now if a hitter's not protected, then other teams know that they can keep like going in hard, because what's the worst that happens? You walk him or you drill him, and he's on first base, and he's not doing major damage like hitting a double, hitting a home run, because he was the best player in baseball. He was hitting 40-plus home runs, hitting 300, right? Like, he's a phenomenal hitter. So
That
he
is
would,
unreal.
he'd include me in things with dinners, and one day, the following season, we were in spring training, and he's like, Aaron, you want to? We had a game in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
And then the next day was an off day. And he's like, Aaron, do you want to fly down with me to Miami to my house? I'm like,
Holy shit! What? Wait, hang on. It's crazy.
yeah.
A-Rod has invited you to his house in Miami.
Yeah.
What?
I'm like,
How good.
Yeah, I guess I should ask the manager if that's okay. So I asked the manager, and he just chuckles. He's like, yeah, of course you can go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, go on.
you know, a rookie just like, oh, man, this is amazing.
Yeah, of course. What?
So we drive to the airstrip in Fort Lauderdale, and airstrip, because we drive right on the tarmac, and there's a private jet waiting.
Holy shit.
And we get on a private jet, and there's people tending the jet. There's shrimp cocktail. There's drinks. There's like, I'm like, this is awesome.
What is going
Fly
on
to
here?
Miami, and same thing. Get picked up on the runway. You're not going through the airport. And go to his house. Magnificent. Like,
Oh.
secure. He's got security there. The gate opens. It's, palm trees lit up and cobblestone
Come
driveway.
on.
There's a waterfall in the middle of his circular driveway at
Come
the
on,
house.
bro.
And we go into his house, and he has a bar in his house.
Like a full-on just...
It's a full-on bar, and there's a bartender,
Not a
and there's
bartender.
someone serving, and there's like hors d'oeuvres and cocktails and things just lined up there. And
So he's looking after you, pretty much.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh, you'll be staying in this wing tonight, and it's like
This
a
wing-
full-on
this
hotel,
wing of my
like,
house?
my own room, my own lounge, my own bathroom, and I'm just like, this is incredible.
Come
and
on.
he gives me a tour of the house, and like, he's not showy about it. Like, the guy's he's rich, right, and he's just living his life, right? And they show me the house. He shows me the garage and his Ferrari in his garage, and he's like, I think I'm going to sell this to someone. What do you think? I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
He did go ahead, man.
I wish I had that money. I'd buy it from you. But
Yeah.
And then we eat dinner, and we go sit in the back patio around his pool. And the coolest thing that I thought was sitting around the table with him and some of his friends, and he talked baseball the whole time.
So, okay.
Nothing else. He lived, eat, breathe baseball. And he knew more about baseball than anybody I've ever met. He taught me so much about pitching, because he, as a hitter, wanted to know essentially his enemy,
Got it.
right? So he understood so many intricacies and details and strategies about pitching. He was a master strategist. He knew so much, and still knows so much about the game.
Crazy.
But, that's it's a glimpse into that life,
Man,
right? And
that is unbelievable.
it was something I'll never forget, right? And
That's an
and
experience.
just a superstar like that looking after a young guy like me, that it was he was one of my biggest encouragers. And I got traded, he went on to New York, and
Yeah.
we don't stay in touch. People say, do you still talk to him? I'm like, no, we don't stay in touch. He's the guy's been playing the big leagues for so long, been around thousands and thousands of players.
Of course, yeah.
But it was a cool impact and just cool experience and stories. Just seeing that lifestyle is just amazing.
Wow. Okay, so that's the ultimate kind of glimpse behind the curtain.
The career was awesome, but it's what my life now, my wife, my kids, family, and that's what life's all about, right?
Yeah. Oh man, totally. And before you head off, man, there's one topic that I wanted to touch on. It's this whole conversation of cricket versus baseball. Is it Nisha's looking? It's the whole. So I know you're an expert of baseball. We haven't seen much of cricket, but what do you think would be harder to succeed at as a batter? Cricket or baseball? Because I know a lot of cricketers, I know a handful of baseball players, and obviously you get different answers. In cricket, the bat's wider, the ball bounces though.
Yeah.
In baseball, it's a bit faster, but the bat's small. So there's different advantages, different disadvantages.
Yeah. You know what? I can make an educated comment on the baseball side, but cricket, I don't know percentages. But let me lay it out this way.
Yeah.
An all-star, like a superstar hitter, will hit 300 in baseball. That means they hit successfully 3 out of 10 times, which means they failed 70% of the time. So
wow, an all-star. So the best of the best fails 70. Woo-wee.
Yeah. So that is all. I'll answer, and I'm going to say baseball is probably statistically harder to do. Is hit a baseball, and
purely hitting a baseball, I believe, is harder than hitting a cricket ball.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think there's more movement. The seams on a baseball allow it to move more, and you've got guys that throw fastball, slider, split finger, cutter, changeup, curveball, knuckle. Like there's so many different pitches guys can throw, and the distance. Like I honestly don't know the distance when in cricket when the ball releases the hand and the guy's actually hitting. I don't know that distance. Because baseball is 60 feet 6 inches from the rubber to the front of home plate, but when they're actually releasing the ball, it's probably 53 feet, 54.
Gotcha.
Feet. And I'm probably off a little bit on the numbers, but a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you have a quarter of a second to hit it, right? So the time the ball releases the hand, and it's roughly a quarter of a second. The speed, I'm not sure exactly, but so in a quarter of a second, you have to see the ball, see what the ball's doing, see if you actually want to swing at it, and then actually make a swing, all in a quarter of a second.
How are you going to think about all that stuff?
Yeah, and then you got a round bat and a round ball, and the ball's moving all different directions. Like,
see, I mean, that just sounds extremely difficult. For cricket, I guess the only thing I would add in that would make it difficult to succeed in terms of scoring runs over a period of time, not simply just hitting a ball, would be that it bounces. That adds such a layer of complexity.
Oh yeah.
Because there is that movement, there is that pace, but now it's bouncing. But then obviously now we have a bigger bat to hit it with. So I've always just thought what would be, and even the conversation of the hardest switch.
Yeah.
Would it be, as a baseball player, can you hit that cricket ball as it's bouncing up now? As a cricket player, we do get times where it comes to us on the full.
Yeah.
So we have that kind of baseball shot. It's called a slog in cricket. You just whack it pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's always an interesting one.
The biggest challenge would be the hands, and what I mean by that is, baseball, when you load your hands up and you attack your hands down. Whereas cricket, the hands are low and essentially you're attacking up more.
Yeah.
In that, if an athlete could, I think both cricket and baseball players, they're going to track the ball well.
Yeah.
They're going to see the ball well. But if you could teach a cricket athlete, attacking from up here on a swing.
It's just getting it, right? It's just adjusting.
But it would be interesting to take 2.
Hey, you know what?
Great
Maybe we
athletes.
could do something like that. Maybe you and I could do a little test.
Let's do it.
Maybe we. How about that? Yeah, well, let's do that. So
Yeah.
one day we'll go to the nets. I'll give a crack at baseball as a former cricket player. You give a crack at cricket as
Yeah.
a former baseball player.
But a Canadian baseball player might have an edge because of hockey. We're used to swinging.
Oh, you guys have that little bit of motion there.
Yeah, we might have an edge.
You got
You have to find
you're
an
saying you might beat
American
me? We'll see. We'll sort out something and we'll record it and we'll get it
We'll
going.
do it. We'll do it.
But man, unreal having you on the podcast, mate. Yeah, Sports University, check it out. We'll chuck it in the comments. You've had an unreal career playing and coaching. Keep up all the great work, man. I appreciate you being a great husband to my cousin. Man, unreal. Appreciate it.
It's my greatest joy in life.
Unreal.
And thanks for having me on the show, and do it again.
Let's do it again sometime.
Great.
Awesome. Cheers, team. Have a good one, yeah? See you
I
soon.
come in clutch. Yeah, you know I'm clutch.